Hey y'all, and welcome to my first April TBR Takedown update. It is April 4th today, and I have a lot that has kind of changed. So if you've been following along for a little while, you will know that the first quarter of this year, I was not buying books. So I've not been buying anything. I've just been focusing on reading down my large TBR. That's where the shift came in the TBR takedowns as well. More focus on numbers and that progress. Now that I can buy books, things are going to change a little bit. One thing I was holding back on was pre-orders. So I considered that book buying because I add them to my physical TBR when I pre-order them. So I did pre-order 5 books. And then I also ordered Red Seas Under Red Skies and The Republic of Thieves, but The Republic of Thieves is the only one I have not read yet. I did get Red Seas Under Red Skies from the library. So this is adding to the TBR plus the 5 pre-orders. We ended March with 311, but that means we're going into April with 317. Like I said, it's the 4th. This is the only book I've bought that is being added to the physical TBR in physical format. The other 5 are pre-orders, like I mentioned before. I cannot wait. I'm going to try and read this really, really, really soon, but I say that about everything, and there's so many books and I want to read all of them. So let me tell you the ones I have read so far. I read this almost immediately. This is The Faraway Inn by Beth Durst, and it is technically a YA fantasy. I loved it. I think I gave it 4.75. There was one rub for me, but let me tell you what it's about first. Basically, 16-year-old Calissa is spending the summer at her great aunt's B&B in Vermont. She is coming off of an adolescent heartbreak. So it feels really, really big and really serious. And she just wants to get away from Brooklyn and away from anyone who knows what happened and her embarrassment and kind of heartbreak. Her Auntie Z is not interested in having her there, but that's because all of the inn's clientele are actually from other realms, and Auntie Z doesn't want her getting caught up in all of that. It's really sweet. There is also the groundskeeper's son, Jack, who has kind of taken over the groundskeeper duties, and he and Calissa really spend time working to fix up the inn because it is crumbling also. It's too much for Auntie Z to keep up with. And these two kind of take it upon themselves. They kind of grow together and form a deeper connection that turns into romance, which is really sweet and charming. I like the creatures. I would love to know more about the characters, creatures, this whole world. There's so much potential here, especially the night market. I would like to go back to the night market and learn more about everybody there. So I loved it. The one thing that kind of was a hang up for me, it kept taking me out of the story, is Calissa has 2 moms, and she calls one mom Kate and one mom Elise, mom-Kate, mom-Elise. To me, it just kind of pulled me out of the story because it felt a little impersonal and inauthentic to a family relationship that you would call one mom Kate, one mom Elise. It's a mouthful also. So that was kind of one hang up I had, but overall, loved it. The next book I finished so far this month is Flawless by Elsie Silver. Yes, Vindication is so sweet, my friends. I have finally started my Elsie Silver journey, and it did not disappoint. This is book 1 in the Chestnut Springs series. There are 3 series currently. A 4th series is coming with Fever Dream in May, I think. Anyway, I have basically turned into Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where I think he's working in a mailroom or the post office or something, and he has the corkboard and the strip. That's me. You should know I really do not annotate books, but I did start flagging when I noticed characters that I know are getting their own books, and I have started Heartless. So I met Willa, and Willa's brother is Ford, and I think he's Wild Love. I'm down a rabbit hole. I really liked this. I didn't love it to the extent of 5 stars, but I gave it 4.25 because I thought it was really great. I had the 3rd act breakup. Brother, it bothered me. It felt stupid. I think there was enough drama and conflict without having the 3rd act breakup, and we could have let the tension and the angst mount a little bit more for pacing. Done away with the 3rd act breakup. We did not need 2 weeks apart to figure out our feelings. I think the characters could have gotten there on their own. But I am biased and I don't like the 3rd act breakup. So just take that opinion with a grain of salt. If you like a 3rd act breakup, baby, here it is. And like I mentioned, I have already started Heartless. I think I'm 6 chapters in. Very cute so far. Really like it. I love Cade. Cade is so grouchy. And this is kind of giving Gus and Teddy vibes. I know this came out before it, but it's giving Gus and Teddy vibes. Lila Sage, Getty, nanny, single dad. It's good. I like it so far. This is about Willa Grant, and she has mentioned her brother Ford, who is in Wild Love. So I'm starting to make the connections. It's feeling good. It's getting exciting. I'm just so pleased to have finally started these books and not have that in the back of my mind constantly, because I do think now that I've started, I'm not going to be able to stop until I work my way completely through them. All right, finishing Flawless brings me back down to 315 books. And like I said, I've already started Heartless. I'm going to finish it this weekend. Like, it's just going to happen. I'm also dying to read Dinosaurs at the Dinner Party. It is on my spring TBR. And I'm just itching for some of that really captivating nonfiction and to learn something. And sometimes at work we talk about dinosaurs, and I feel like the biggest friggin' nerd when I talk about it, because one, I realize like I like dinosaurs too much, but also there's so much about dinosaurs I don't know. So I really want to read this very soon. I am so excited for April. April already feels fresh and clean, and like we have sloughed off the March nasties. I'm not gonna lie. So I'm feeling really, 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 really good about April, really good about being able to buy books again if I can keep myself on a somewhat tight leash. Okay. All right. So I'll see you for the next update. I'm sorry this was so long. 315 is the new number. I hope it doesn't go up again by the next update. Okay. Bye. Hello. Welcome to update number 2. I have a few books to show you. I'm going to try and be quick because it's probably not going to be a huge surprise. I have finished Heartless and Powerless in the Chestnut Springs series. First up, I loved Heartless. This is 5 stars for me. Book 2 in the Chestnut Springs series. It is Summer's best friend Willa and eldest brother Cade of the Eaton boys. She is a temporary summer nanny. She's not a nanny, but she like falls into this gig, right? And his son absolutely loves her. So very reluctantly, Cade agrees for her to be his summertime nanny. And it just builds from there. It's so perfect. I want to know, so someone please tell me, if I give tropes for things, is that going to be considered a spoiler for you? Like if I tell you a very specific trope that happens in this book that people are pretty polarized on, is that a big spoiler? Or like has everybody who wants to read these books read them already and I'm just like the only person who hasn't actually read them yet? So just if you care or if you have strong feelings about that, let me know, because there's other things I'd like to say, especially trope-wise. But I don't know if that's considered a spoiler, and I don't want anybody to be mad at me. But I loved this. I thought it was great. No notes, perfection, everything I was wanting from Flawless, I feel like this did exceptionally well. And I keep forgetting to mention, I meant to mention it in my Flawless take, but I love the texting. So if you're not familiar with these books, the beginning of almost every single chapter has like a little text exchange, and it's not between the male main character and the female main character. Like sometimes it is. It's not exclusive to that. It is often between the brothers and friends, or like the female main character and her friend, or even a group chat with the family. I love them. They're so endearing. They really put a finer point on the relationships and make these characters feel that much more real to me. Book 3 in the series, and this is Jasper Gervais's story. Jasper is the adopted Eaton boy. Like he's an Eaton by love, not blood. And he is an interesting character. I thought he was broody and withdrawn before, but he really is, he's not morally gray. He's kind of emotionally gray to me. That's how I would describe him. He doesn't do anything that like sets my hackles up or that I would side eye particularly hard, but there is some stuff that I'm just like, I don't know if I could put up with that. I really don't. I don't know if I could put up with Jasper. I liked this book. I gave it 4 stars. Sloane is the female main character and his childhood best friend. She's actually a cousin of the Eatons. So her mother was sisters with the Eatons' mom, who has passed. And I thought she was great. I thought she was pretty dynamic, very understanding. She grew up summering at the Eaton Ranch, and that's how she met Jasper. So they were longtime family friends, obviously, and people called them cousins. And so, of course, that makes things awkward when you're attracted to someone and they're not related, but everybody would call them cousins. So it was like, ugh, weird. There's some funny jokes about that in here. And it is a typical, she had a crush on him for so long. He was like, you're too young for me. It's really inappropriate. And I think Jasper, being the only one, just assumed that she grew out of this crush, even though she never did. So he kind of let her go, but they've always had a little bit of a pull to each other. She is getting married, runaway brides it, and he is there to sweep her away. I thought their relationship was fine. I would have liked a little more development from Jasper. He was a little too closed off and a little too emotional, and he was so brooding that it would come off as just aloof, and I didn't really feel a connection with his character. I'm glad that Sloane loves him and everything, but he was not my favorite male main character. I'll just put it that way. I have started book 4, which is Reckless. I have an arc that I'm trying to work my way through before I jump back into this. I'm not too far, but I'm pretty hooked. This is Summer's sister, Winter, as our female main character, and Rhett's protege, Theo Silva. We met him in book 1, and then we saw their first interaction at the end of book 3. So there was a little bit of build up to this. I was looking forward to it. I also just put together, I told you, like string, corkboard, the whole thing, that Theo's sister is going to be the female main character in Fever Dream, and Emmett from all the way back in book 1 is going to be the male main character. I'm dying. Elsie is just like feeding us in this universe. We're living in this universe forever. We will never escape it, and I'm totally fine with it. Like I mentioned, I'm trying to finish an arc right now, and it's really good. I'm really enjoying it, but I wanted to prioritize that before I continue on with Chestnut Springs. And this came yesterday, and I'm so excited for it, and I did start it. I think I left my bookmark in there. I did start it, so I'm like a little ways in, but I think I need a reread. I really think I do, and I've had the roughest day, and all I want to do is run to Barnes & Noble or run to Sincerely Yours and just buy like 10 books to make myself feel better. But I thought a much better thing to do would be to unload the dishwasher, which I need to do, and then reread this whole series and finish out with book 4. I'm sure I can do it tonight. This one's chunkier. This one might be the chunkiest of the group so far, but because it's a graphic novel and so much of it is obviously illustrations, I do think I could reread the first 3 and then finish this one tonight, or at least tomorrow morning before I start working. I'm so excited. It's so beautiful. I'm really happy for Tim. I know I'm gonna finish this and already want like another one, and I know these take forever and he puts so much into them, so I'm thrilled to have it, and I'm actually really looking forward to my reread. I was hoping to have finished Reckless before I did my second update so that maybe I could compress these a little bit and not make the videos so long-winded, but here we are. It didn't happen. We are now down to 313 books on the physical TBR. So that's it for now. I'll see you for the next one. Bye. Time for another update. This one's a little large, cumbersome, whatever. I don't know. It will come as no surprise that I finished Reckless. This is book 4 in the Chestnut Spring series, the penultimate book. Theo Silva, Winter, Hamilton, Valentine, whatever. Winter. I loved it. I thought it was perfect. There is a big, if you've read these, you know, but I knew there was going to be a good excuse, but I didn't know how good the excuse would be. And I would say this is a pretty good excuse. There's a pretty good explanation for why what happened. Theo is Rhett's protege, so he's also a bull rider. And then Winter is Summer's sister, also a doctor. I love a little bit of a redemption for a misunderstood character, and I do think that Winter, at the heart of things, is misunderstood. I don't think she's bad. I don't think she has like a redemption for being a bad character. A little bit, like she had her reasons, but she wasn't wholly like evil. So I love that we really got to see her true self, I guess, and that she wasn't stuck being the enemy in someone else's story. I love this. I thought it was great. 4.5 stars? Yes. Okay, I did have to do a reread of the other books, and I was feeling a little ashamed about that. But when I looked in Fable, I had read those over a year ago in February of 2025. I had no idea it had been so long. So this is book 4 in the Lightfall series, A Place Between. Again, absolutely stunning artwork, like just beautiful scenes. This is in a castle. This is new friend Todd. I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was really interesting. We get to see some different spirits, and there is a place in between. But where it ends is such a cliffhanger, and I'm like, no, I need to know what's going to happen next. These are middle grade graphic novels. I don't know. I love them. I think you can read any age group. I probably say this all the time. You can read any age group. I've seen a lot of people on Instagram, like Tim will share stories about these books. And people are usually posting them like, oh, I got something for my kid, and then I got something for me. And I'm like, Oh, I also got this for me. I love them. I highly recommend them. I think they're fun, again, for any age group. The art is beautiful. The story is compelling. The characters are so interesting and unique and diverse. And it's just a really good time. So I gave this probably 4.5 or 5 stars somewhere. Probably 5 stars because I think I give them all 5 stars. I just think they're stunning. Like, look at those little guys. I love them. This is Cad. This is B. They are separated at the beginning of this book. They do come back together. But then, what's the next part of the adventure? I'm dying. I will always be looking out for more from Tim. And finally, I just finished this tonight after work. Oh my God. Okay, I thought this was going to tear me up. This is the last book in the Chestnut Springs series for those not in the know. And this is the last of the Eaton brothers. I think he's just below Cade. He's wedged between Cade and Rhett, I think. And then I think the sister is the youngest. Whatever. Bo is military veteran. He did special ops stuff. He was on a rescue mission, got burned really very badly, and was in hiding until rescue for over a week. He has mental and physical anguish to work through. And it's been I think at this point, it's been a couple of years since all of that happened. But like, Bo is very separate. I thought this was going to tear me up because of him and his struggle. And I really thought that was going to tear me up. Bailey is the most heartbreaking character of the whole series. She really broke my heart so much. There's a point where he sends her a message and they go back and forth a little bit and she says, like, you're the only person that messages me. And that like tore me up, how alone she was and how hard she was trying to make things better for herself. And I think there are a lot of people out there in the world who are alone through no choice of their own, through just like situations like Bailey has. And it breaks my heart for people like that, because at the end of the day, through all of his struggles, through all of his strife and grief and pain, Bo still had a huge family, a loving family, and so many resources, and Bailey had none of that. So I just really loved it. I loved their story. I loved the growth. The age gap, the age gap in these for me is a little much sometimes. Just because, like, when I was 22, I was a big dum-dum. I could not be making life-changing decisions at 22. Big dum-dum. But I know people have kids at 22 and, like, everything turns out fine. Not me. So I struggle with that a little bit, but like not enough to not read them. So last book in Chestnut Springs. Oh, I loved it. I really did love this one. 4.5 stars, 4.75. I can't remember, but it was very, very good. I would recommend the whole series. So like this put me at 310. Okay. But I bought 2 books today and I don't feel ashamed about it at all because one of them was already on my list and I was going to buy it at Barnes & Noble this weekend anyway, but it was actually a better deal at Target. The Red Winter by Cameron Sullivan. This book has been haunting me, okay? It's been haunting me. It is blurbed by T. Kingfisher, and so that caught me. But also, I cracked this little baby open, and I saw 2 very important words, and that was Gévaudan and Beast. I was obsessed. There was like this French movie, and it was all subtitled, about the Beast of Gévaudan. I was obsessed when maybe like high school. And I was like, was this real? Was it really like some weird lion prowling the French countryside? I was into it. It's part of my lore for sure. So this is supposed to be about that time and the Beast of Gévaudan. I don't know anything else about it. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I want to go in blind. I think there's probably going to be like some crazy twist or something. I think this is fantasy, maybe fantasy horror. Because like T. Kingfisher, I don't know. I don't care. I have been wanting this for months. And yeah, it was $20.99 at Target, which I thought was still a better deal than Barnes & Noble with my 10% off because we are having book club at Barnes & Noble. And I'm going to try not to buy a lot of books. 3 is my limit, I think. If I come in less, that would be great. But 3 has to be the limit. I've already told Kat I have an accountability partner. So like, and then I bought Darling Daffodil's Farm. I've also been staring at this one. It has really cute sprayed edges. It's just so cute. And then when you read the description, she's an aspiring pastry chef. She moves back home to help with her family's daffodil farm. There's a dude there and he's real grumpy. And I think maybe he's been helping and they're going to fall in love. I don't care. It sounds great. Beautiful. Like, look at that springy cover. Oh my God. So again, no regrets, but that does mean that we're back up to 312. Again, no regrets. I'm going to keep saying no regrets. I feel fine about this. Everything is fine. Everything is normal. I've only bought 3 books and it is April 10th. And I feel really very good about that. Okay, I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Hi, it's time for another update. I have finished 2 books. Normally, I think I would have waited until I finished one more, but I'm about to leave on a little weekend trip. And I really want to get these off of my plate right now before it gets too far past when I finish them. So let's just like crack into it. I finished Ryder by Jessica Peterson. This is a series ender and I liked it. I liked it a lot. I think this is how you end a series and go into another one. I had one hang up and it was that she does this thing at the end of her books where she kind of like sets up the next couple. And at the end of Duke, she set up like a very specific, this is what's going to happen for Ryder. And I like kept waiting for it. I'm like, this is not going to happen. Okay, but she did not disappoint me. All right. Because I was thinking like, wait, what? I've loved this about it. So I was a little hung up on that for like a while, honestly, like a little while. But she didn't do me wrong. So I appreciated that. We are set up for the next series, which is going to be Double U Ranch. That is, I believe, 5 books, and it is Billy's 5 brothers, starting with number 1, Colt. I saw that coming from like a mile away in this book, his female main character. Anyway, I really liked it. I think Ryder is definitely the angstiest of the Rivers boys. And I don't know why I liked him. I liked his growth arc. I liked Billy. I like how Billy started to stand up for herself. Like, it was good. These characters feel very real to me always. And so I just enjoyed that. I love seeing also like all the little kids interacting. Like, it's just a good time. And I love the family vibes. I think I gave this 4.5 stars on Fable. Whatever. It was good. Like, I really liked it. So if you like cowboys, you should check out this series. And the next book I finished is The Republic of Thieves by Scott Lynch. This is book 3 in the Gentleman Bastard series. And I'm feeling a little bit right now about this like I did when I finished Hellbent, because I thought that was the end of the series. I thought it was a duology. And everybody was like, no, there's a 3rd book coming, you big dumb idiot. Which is coming this year, which is very exciting. Deadbeat out in August, I think. Anyhow, there's going to be more of these or something. At least book 4 is supposed to be coming out this year. And I'm just... So I'm really glad to hear that, because when this ended, I was like, wait, what? I loved it. I loved it. Hold on one second. I'm going to grab my notes. So the first thing is, these books are just outrageously funny. They're hilarious. The characters say the most outrageous stuff, like the most insane, vulgar, oftentimes vile insults, or like, it's just, it really catches me off guard every time. And I can't help but laugh out loud at so many of their sayings and phrases. It gets me. So Sabbatha is back in this one, or not back. I mean, I guess we really get to see her and interact with her for the first time after 2 books of just hearing about her anecdotally, and that, you know, they grew up with her, So we finally see her. I love all the clever details about their crimes and sleight of hand and stuff like that. And it may be my naivete about, I don't know, petty thievery and big scores, but it always feels like up to the last second I'm guessing at how they're going to get out of this, or how they're going to turn the tides, or how things are going to end up in their favor. And I'm never disappointed. It's always so cleverly done. And if you're the type of person who likes to figure things out, maybe you could go along and you would get it. I'm just here to enjoy it. So I don't find myself really picking these apart. I have such a good time. And then when everything is kind of revealed and explained to me like a 5-year-old, I'm like, wow, so much planning, so intelligent. So I just absolutely love these. I think most of my notes are all just for myself. Oh, I do love the back and forth between the past and the present. And you don't always know what those interlude sections are going to give you, but you know that they're teaching you something that's about to come back around. So you don't know what you're looking for, but you know that you're getting information. And then when it hits kind of back in present day, you're like, oh, okay, got it, got it. That's what you were trying to tell me. So I just think these books are so engaging. They're so much fun. They are dense, but not in a way that's like a slog to get through. There is not always a ton of dialogue on page. It is very wordy, but I always feel like I can see these characters. We always get a description of like loosely what they're wearing, how their hair is, do they have a hat on, or or they have like a decorative cane that they're using. And it's just, I feel like I can always really clearly see these characters and what they're doing. And I'm so excited that there's more books, but also like, oh crap, I thought this was gonna be the end. So I'm just like warring with those feelings a little bit. I would highly recommend the whole series though. There are very heist vibes, but also fantasy, world building, a very found family aspect about them. And there's always some heart-wrenching bits. I just really, really enjoy them all the way through. I almost forgot. 5 stars, as always. All right, so I did mention that I bought some books at book club. I also purged 1 book. So with those, we'll say a net 5 new books, and then finishing these 2, I am at 316 on the physical TBR. So I'm going on a trip. I'm so excited. I'm really just so thrilled. And I can't wait to put my toes in the sand and just hear the sound of the ocean. Oh my God, I think it will heal something inside of me. So that's all for now. I will check in with you on the other side of my little vacation. And yeah, I hope you're having a really good day so far. Okay, bye. Hey, today's update is going to be kind of a big one. So I want to jump right in with the first book that I finished, but technically didn't finish. And it is Witches of Dubious Origin by Jenn McKinlay. I've tried to collect my thoughts about this multiple times and not be really mean. I try really hard not to be super mean about books. I am frustrated. Frustration number 1 came very early on, and it is a problem that spans genres, okay? I don't understand a character with this much of a lack of curiosity. Where is your curiosity? Why don't you want to know? They don't want answers. They don't want to know the truth. They want to bury their head in the sand. I don't get it, especially when magic is involved. You're telling me you really don't want to know what's going on. I don't get it. Zoe, total wet blanket for me. She doesn't want to know what's going on. She doesn't want anything to do with her magic. Since when? Anyway, the second and possibly biggest of all of my pet peeves happened here as well. We are told how brilliant, how smart, how exceptional Zoe is. I cannot stand being told how smart someone is, and then you are reading their actions, and it's like they've never had a critical thought. They've never solved a problem with their noodle. And it really irritated me. The whole book, I would say from at least chapter 4, chapter 5, it's very clear that someone wants something Zoe has, okay? And that she's in danger. Every time they're chased down, and this happens many times, Zoe's like, what? They're here for me? Why? I couldn't do it. I got to the pirates and I was done. I was done. Okay. So yeah, I had to give it a rating on Fable because they make you, even if you DNF something, but I wouldn't give this a rating because I didn't finish it. I doubt that things turn around in the end and it would make me like her at all. I just didn't like her. Every other character was more interesting and intelligent than Zoe. And I find that very frustrating. I wanted more for Zoe. I wanted Zoe to be better. I didn't care about her cardigans or that she was wearing tights or it was a little chilly outside that day. I did not care about that. I wanted her to use her noodle. Why wasn't she curious about why she and her mom had to move around so much? It wasn't for me. It's going. Finished and enjoyed The Convenience Store by the Sea. I didn't get a lot of like coastal vibes from it. I don't think this really stood out as something that was like by the sea. I don't think the by the sea part is very important, but it's about a convenience store called Tenderness and this one particular branch that goes above and beyond for their customers and the people who work there, the people who come in and out. Very good. All of it is also centered around food, like sharing food, which is a universal concept. And I would say like an indicator of found family, or I don't, there's just that, I don't want to say intimacy, but something that comes with, you know, sharing a meal with someone. And I really liked this. It was, tenderness is a great name for the store, but I also felt like the book was very tender. There were some hard hitters. It is healing fiction, and I do find that they will really sneak in some hard stories, and you will be moved. My favorite chapter was A Soft Egg Porridge for a Hard Old Man, chapter 4. I think that his character really, really, really grew. He had a ton of growth. He had a huge perspective shift, and he was given the opportunity to be something for someone, and it gave back something to him that he was missing in his life. Perfection. I loved it. This is a great book. I think I gave this 4.25 stars. It was really good. It did feel reminiscent of other things I've read. I think that's just the nature of these types of books, but the stories were unique. The stories were really special. And like I said, it was moving. Next, I finished this absolute brick house. I mean, it's huge, right? Like, absolutely massive book. This is Just for the Cameras by Meghan Quinn. You have very, very grumpy football player Graydon St. John. I can't with the names. And then Maple Baker is a flamingo keeper at the zoo. And because of a PR situation, Graydon is thrown into this outreach program at the zoo. He's paired with Maple. He instantly doesn't like her because he's attracted to her, but he doesn't want to be doing this job thing. And he's really quite nasty to her. Like, he is such, pardon my language, a shit to her in the whole beginning of this, to the point where I was like, good Lord, how is she still having a smile on her face? But they're very clearly attracted to each other. They start to open up a little bit here and a little bit there. She goes to interact with his football team because she feels that he is giving something for her. She wants to give something back and get that experience for him. So they have like a little social media campaign. It really pops off. They get popular. They're thrown into a PR dating scheme, and it just goes from there. I gave this 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I did. Also, I cannot wait for OC's story. Bennett, great, whatever. We'll see him in, I think it's October. I don't know. He's coming later this year. I want OC's story. I want it now. He had me rolling. What an absolute maniac he turned out to be. I really want his full story, okay? He's hilarious. But the reason I only gave this 4 stars, I think it could have been a 4.5. I really do. Graydon acted like a little bee at the end of this. Again, respectfully. He acted like such a friggin' baby, and it pissed me off. You get a happy ending. Like, that's guaranteed with these books, but he really made me mad. And I was like live texting my mom because she had already read this, and I was like, what is his freaking problem? Why is he such a baby? So anyway, it was great. It was wonderful, but like that irked me a little bit, and it kind of brought my rating down slightly. I went to St. Augustine last weekend. There was book shopping. It did happen, and I bought a lot of books, and there's a haul coming for that. I think it'll be after this video, the weekend after this TBR Takedown, April. So that's a situation. So the books did increase, but finishing Just for the Cameras puts me at 324 books, okay? I started this morning. I bought this on the trip. It is A Grim Reaper's Guide to Cheating Death, and it is book 2 in the Scythe mystery series by Maxie, Dara. Nora Bird has been an administrative coordinator at Scythe for 2.5 years, and so basically what she does is she assigns the cases to the specialists. So who gets what based on their expertise, and then also how the essence passed. One day, she comes into work, and the name on the folder at the top of her stack is her twin brother, Charlie. So she has to bust ass to find him before Scythe finds him, because she wants to try and fix this. Like I said, chapter 1, I am hooked. It's a very small book. I believe this is under 300 pages when I looked. Yeah, 269 pages, very short. I think I'll be able to finish it combined reading maybe tomorrow night. Maybe, I don't know. So I'm really excited for this because I already feel like it's going to be good. We have an African gray parrot on the cover. I'm so excited. I think it's going to be great. I'm really enjoying this series. So that's where we are for now. I will leave it here, and I will see you for the next one, hopefully very soon, hopefully with a few more, like a little stack of books maybe, hopefully. pray for me. Bye. I cannot believe that April has come to an end. It is already May. It is May 1st here today. It is a little bit of a gloomy May day, but I just think that April flew by. I genuinely can't believe it's over. I did a lot of good reading. I did a lot of good book buying, and full transparency, I don't think I've updated in almost 2 weeks, so I have a lot of books to show you in this final update for the month. So let's jump right in. I think the most obvious from my last update, A Grim Reaper's Guide to Cheating Death. I had a little bit of a different understanding of what this was going to be based on the first, I think I had just finished the first chapter at that point. I thought Nora's brother was already deceased. But what we have really is cheating death. Like we are on like a race against time to prevent his death from happening. This does culminate in Nora and Charlie ending up in the town their dad grew up in. Very mysterious. They didn't know that they had family. And so that's a whole vibe. We have that kind of mystery and discovery of the family paired with, why is Charlie going to die? Why was he going to die in the first place? What's the situation with this bird that showed up a few days before this happened with a message for Charlie? It was very different than the first book and very different than what I expected. I guess kind of based on that first book. This was a much more contained environment. Like we spend most of the book in this small town, whereas in the first book, you know, Kathy was like going around investigating. She was going to work. She was going home. She was going to people's houses. She was going to a friend's house. She was at the ballpark. Like there was just a lot going on. And here we're kind of in just this one location for most of the story. I did enjoy it very much. I enjoyed Jessica the parrot. I love a parrot. I love a talking bird and an African gray parrot. I honestly would love to have one, but I would have to get one like now in my life, right? Or I'd be willing it to somebody. So anyway, overall really good. It like I said, felt very different than the first book in the series, but not in a bad way. I gave this 4.25 stars. It was very small, very quick read. And I'm so excited now for the third book in the series. I think it's coming out in November. It doesn't have a cover yet. I'm hoping for like a pink cover or maybe purple. I'm always guessing what the next color is going to be in the series. So I'm very excited for that one coming out. And honestly, really pleased to have found this series. It's enjoyable. It's not very high stakes, but also engaging and just fun. Next, I finished 50 Beasts to Break Your Heart. This is a collection of stories. It was in the fantasy section. I found it at Barnes & Noble just based on the spine. I pulled it out. The cover really pulled me in. And this author wrote Thistlefoot. I can see the cover of that book. It's like a house with chicken legs coming out. I haven't read it, but it's always called to me. So after reading this, I definitely want to check that out. I do tend to struggle with these collections of stories because I feel like some of them, and it's usually just a few, are really standouts, and the rest, or at least the most of them, are kind of meh, like I'll never think about this again. So when I do find a collection that really hits, it makes me excited. And this was really pretty good. There were a couple that I will not think about again, for sure. But I flagged several that I want to come back to. My absolute favorite was Dear Henrietta, and it's a letter. The story is just the span of this letter, and the person writing it just gets more and more kind of unsettling and then into sinister. And I could just see it in my mind as almost a short film of the person writing this letter and little flashes of the stuff happening, and then it all culminating in the person reading it and realizing what's happened and what's in the package that accompanied this letter. It was, like I said, just very unsettling and sinister for sure. In the end, very sinister. I loved it. I keep thinking about it. I would like more. I would like to know what happened after that package was received. Like, I really, really liked it. I gave this overall a 4-star because the stories that stood out really did stand out to me. The Thread Boy was good, but I feel like the message was a little in your face there. 50 Beasts to Break Your Heart. So this is like the titular story, right? It's very interesting. And this is kind of part of what drew me in, were all these creatures, right? And these are the 50 beasts to break your heart. What I found particularly interesting about this short story, look at that little moth. It's set up as a bestiary, right? So we're telling you about all of these different beasts and their characteristics. And here's a quick illustration. But within all of the descriptions, there's this other story going on with the scientist who put together the bestiary. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very cleverly done, and I wanted to keep going to see, okay, like what's happening with these two doctors? Like, wait, what? I loved that about it. The very first story of the book too, when I read that, I was like, okay, we're going to be all right. It is called Sundown at the Eternal Staircase. Loved that. So I think, like I said, overall 4 stars. Very good, very enjoyable read. Now, around that time in the month where I finished the 50 Beasts to Break Your Heart, I did decide to start the Rose Hill series, but I kind of want to talk about that as a whole. So next up of the finished between Rose Hill would have been The Passengers on the Hankyu line. This is for my spring TBR, so that's one more checked off there. And it is a healing Japanese fiction set in the train stations, in and around the train stations between these two cities, right? It was very enjoyable. This, obviously, you know, a little wiener dog is going to draw me in. However, the wiener dog we get in this book, not red, not short-haired. So that's interesting. But overall, I enjoyed this so thoroughly. I gave this 4.25 stars, very different type of healing fiction than what I'm used to. And I would say that's a huge plus. What made this one different is, first of all, I mean, it was heartwarming. It was charming. It was like a warm hug of a book. But where in other healing fictions, I feel like we get 3 to 5 characters. It's like, okay, your story, here it is, done, next chapter. New person, new story, new problem to solve. And we don't really see them again. This really weaves through all of the characters, not only through their story and then through their path, you know, past where they're our main subject, but it also shows how their stories could impact other characters in the story and in their own chapters. So I really enjoyed that weaving nature of all of the characters moving in and out of the same space and the impact they had on each other's lives. Very, very rewarding read, very sweet. I absolutely loved it. And this author has another book. It's the Traveling Cat Chronicles, so I really want to check that out now too. All right, so let's talk about Rose Hill. I feel like I could spend 20 minutes talking about these books, and in my mind, that would be a very brief explanation. And I don't know that people want to sit and hear me yammer for that long. So I'm trying to be concise is my point. So I would say overall, Rose Hill, definitely my favorite series of the series I've read so far. Yes, it's only 2, so whatever. I do think it's going to stay my favorite, and I think Wildside might stay my favorite book of the entire series, which is crazy because I loved Heartless. Like Cade Eaton, stop. All of that to say, Elsie Silver has cemented herself as one of my favorite authors of all time in this genre at this point. Honestly, if she decided to start writing like dark dystopian fantasy, I'd try it. I'd be like, well, let's give it a go. I mean, maybe. I really enjoy her writing. I had heard people say, you know, I'm reading them in the suggested order that I heard from someone else, which was Chestnut Springs, Rose Hill, Gold Rush Ranch. Is that right? Gold Rush Ranch. Yeah, I think that's it. That's the order I'm reading them in. It's not the order they were written in. So anyway, I'm reading them in that order, and I do think it has paid off. I do think that's the appropriate order for like maximum enjoyment and understanding of all the characters. I can see such a difference in her writing in Rose Hill from just Chestnut Springs. And I don't mean that Chestnut Springs is written poorly, but it's just her skills are honed. It's like she knows what she's doing and she's really confident in it. It's not just, oh, I have a style. It's the confidence behind her writing style. And I just feel that she shines so brightly in this series as a writer. I cannot get enough of her. I really can't. She is the queen of like this slow burn, pining love. And definitely after Rose Hill, the queen of everything is not as it seems. Or everything's not what you think, maybe, is a better way to put it. So the first book up is Wild Love. And I'm going to try to give a very, 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 very brief summary, high points, something like that. So in the first book, we have Ford Grant. If you remember Willa from the aforementioned Heartless, she is Ford's sister. So that's the tie-in. Ford is a billionaire. He's trying to move into creating his own recording studio. And Rosie is his best friend's little sister. They grew up together, spending summers together at least. And Rosie is back home after kind of a devastating career-ending situation through no fault of her own. She decides to go work for Ford. They're very adversarial in a friendly way. Like, they're friends, but they really razz each other just constantly. They are constantly hitting each other with low blows. The banter is spectacular, and it is more playful, but still cut to the quick. But like, I've known you your whole life, so you can't really hurt my feelings the way you think you can. It's very funny. I enjoyed it a lot. And then Ford has an unexpected daughter through a donation, if you will. So she comes in, and Cora joining the mix, very satisfying, so much fun. So these two seem to have always had feelings for each other, but of course, you know, Ford being Wes's best friend and then Rosie being Wes's little sister, they always felt like it was an off-limits sort of thing. So I wouldn't say forbidden love, but kind of like, let's not go there, because if it doesn't work out, it's going to be ugly. And them being together in such close proximity just, you know, built up the pining, and they couldn't get away from each other. Definitely forced proximity. Like I said, you have the best friend's little sister, tons of banter, the unexpected child. I mean, she is, what, 12 years old, I think, 11 years old. So not a baby, but she's a really fun addition. She gives as good as she gets, man. Like, she has some good one-liners as well. So much banter from everybody in these books. I gave this 4.75 stars. You can see in her books as well, you can really start to piece together who the next female main characters are going to be, who their male main character is going to be, or vice versa. I couldn't for the longest time figure out who Bash's female main character was going to be. And then like once it hit, I was like, oh, okay, thank God. I can rest easy because now I know who it's going to be. But I love how she does that in these books. I love how she weaves all of these different people in all these different locations together to create this one cohesive world. Next up was Wild Eyes. This is Rosie's brother, Weston. He is a single dad of 2 children. And then Skylar, who is going to be working with Ford because she is a pretty famous country pop star. Now, like I said, she's going to be working with Ford on her next album, but she decides to come to town to Rose Hill a little early. They don't have anywhere for her to stay yet. So she ends up bunking at Weston's house. Weston has always been a fan of her as, you know, a personality, as a celebrity, but pushing them together and then her being around his kids and the connections built there, very sweet, very found family, but also like building a family. Weston, I don't think I mentioned this about Ford, they're all in a bowling league together, all these male main characters, and Weston was the ringleader behind all of that. So he's a very gregarious person, but at home he is very reserved. He is protective of his children. He doesn't want to just let anybody in, especially someone like Skylar, who is famous and who is not planning to stick around. They have a very interesting meet cute that involves a grizzly bear, and from there it just, everything blossoms. There's again a lot of tension, a lot of banter, found family, single dad, a famous pop star, and a civilian working man. It was great. Another 4.75 stars. Very much enjoyed it. Also, Skylar has a bird. A talking bird. I love a talking bird. Wild Side was my most favorite of the whole series. Okay, and like I said, might be my most favorite of all time of anything. If you've been here for a while, like as in for since I started this, you may remember me hauling this and being like, I don't know what it's about. There's a masked wrestler, but I have the rest of them, so I'm just going to keep buying them. I am so glad that past Meg decided to take a chance on Elsie Silver without having read anything and just buy all of her books, because I love these. This is absolutely my favorite. It has my favorite trope of all time, which is a marriage of convenience. I don't know why I like that trope so much, but I freaking do. This has it. It was done perfectly. Our female main character is Tabby. She is friends with Rosie. And since Rosie has come back to town, they've like gotten closer, rekindled their friendship. She also owns a bistro that turns into like a restaurant in the evening. So she's like a busy boss lady. Reese is her deceased sister's former landlord, and also the person her sister left as guardian of her 3-year-old son when she passed away. In an effort to try and work this out and kind of co-parent the 3-year-old nephew to Tabitha, they do end up living together. He travels a lot for work, masked wrestler. He has this secret identity that she eventually figures out, which I think is very funny, how that whole thing is executed. She tries to needle him at every turn. Part of that is getting a cat when he says he's allergic to cats, which he's not really, he just doesn't like them. And she names the cat Cleopatra. I don't know why, but that stuck with me so much. These two also have the banter, but it's more like verbal sparring. They're both kind of a little bit too mean to each other, but in the best way. Very heartwarming to see the family that they build and how Reese gets pulled into the fold of not just a family unit, right? But also the friendship with the bowling team, which are called the Ballbusters, which came from Tabitha all the way back in book 1. These two are just so fun to read. Overall, it did just feel like they had an easy love and a sweet and kind of gentle relationship once they let themselves. Far and away, 5 stars. And the final book in this series, Wildcard, I just finished this last night. I did not think it was going to happen, and I'm so thrilled that I was able to squeeze it in right under the wire so I could talk about them all together. Our main character is Bash. He's a little bit older, not by much, maybe like 4 or 5 years older than everybody else. And he is a fire pilot during the, I guess, wildfire season. And then he kind of takes the off season and he started a contracting business. He's trying to pull back, right? He's trying to like relax his life a little bit. He meets Gwen in an airport after he's just discovered that his high school girlfriend got pregnant and had a baby, left, never told him. So he's just found out about this son who is also a hockey player. He's getting his own book. You can't convince me that Trip and Little Willie from Wildside are not getting their own books after Emmett. I'm convinced it's like second generation series. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So he finds out about his son Trip. He is flying back home to Rose Hill after meeting him, where he runs into Gwen. There's a storm and the Vancouver airport is basically shut down by the snow. So they're stuck in the airport overnight. They have like a wonderful experience together, just talking and getting up to silliness, honestly, while they're stuck in an airport with nowhere to go. So they have a very interesting meet cute. Bash gets her number and reaches out to her. The problem is Gwen never responds to his text messages, and the next time he runs into her, it's at his new to him son's birthday party, and she's with Trip. It's very awkward, right? Like, it sounds terrible. So things happen. He gets frustrated. He doesn't really like the way also that Trip is treating her. So he ends up storming out of that. Several months later, Gwen ends up moving to Rose Hill to take over the yoga studio there from the owner, who is going to be away. And the two are thrown back together. Bash is clearly having a lot of conflicting feelings about his attraction to Gwen and the connection that they formed that night that they met, but also not wanting to step on the toes of his son, who he really wants to build a relationship. He had kind of given up on the fact that he would have a family. So it's really important to him to nurture this relationship with his now adult son. The tension is crazy. We have Clyde as our matchmaker. Clyde is a little, they call him Crazy Clyde. I don't love that moniker, but he is definitely a bit of a hermit and a bit of a conspiracy theorist, which I love. And he plays our matchmaker in this, which I think is absolutely perfect. So we have this moodier male main character and then a female main character who does not back down. That's been pretty consistent across the series. These women are like, oh, you're in a bad mood? Okay. You can, as my mom would say, you could get glad in the same pants and I'll just be here waiting. So I did enjoy that aspect of it. Bash, loved him as a male main character. He was excellent. Gwen did not really click for me as much. And I think part of that is that something about her just felt a little more superficial. I think with these characters in all of these books, there's been a confrontation of some sort that helped them move past whatever was holding them back or whatever was, you know, keeping them in the same patterns that they were in, or, you know, whatever that pushed them past the issue they were having. And I feel like for Gwen, like Bash got his moment. He's had this thing with his son. Like he gets that, the confrontation and the output of that. Gwen doesn't get her moment of confrontation. We know she has these issues with her father and this sort of tentative relationship with her mom that's kind of stunted because of her father, but we don't ever get that confrontation with him or her really standing up for what she did. So I don't know if that's what it is, but this one held me back a little bit. I only gave it 4.5 stars where everything else was so much higher in the series. I still absolutely loved it, but there was something either missing or something that just wasn't right for me, and I can't put my finger on it. Overall, I think the series was absolute perfection. So finishing Wildcard brings me down to 316 books. I did start April with 317. I did buy a lot of books in April, but I obviously read a lot of books as well. So to have a net -1 is so exciting. I'm not going to do percentages this time. I think that would be too depressing for one book out of 317. But I'm hopeful that I can keep my number consistently coming down, like I discussed at the beginning of this video. As long as the number keeps coming down, I think I can responsibly buy books at the pace that I want to without crippling myself with the overwhelming nature that my TBR had turned into. So that's it for now. This has been so rambly. I really wanted to keep it quick and concise, but when I'm talking about books I really like, I guess I can't. So I hope you have a great May. I hope April was kind to you and that May will be even better. I hope we get some of those May flowers because it has been showering. And I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.